an infinite amount of possibility, you can never come to the end of exploring. And this is basically what Kurt Gödel and Douglas Hofstadter and Donald Hoffman are talking about as well, is that you can't actually come to the truth that you are a PlayStation 5 playing infinite games, but you can't come to that truth from within Grand Theft Auto. So you're trying to find the truth that you're in PlayStation 5 playing infinite games, but you're trying to find it from within GTA.
Okay. So when people bring up Kurt Gödel, I want to know what's the relationship between a first order language and our physical reality, or this reality. Because what Kurt Gödel was saying was extremely specific. It was with any axiomatic system strong enough to produce some qualities like arithmetic and so on. So what's the relationship between that? What's to say that reality has anything to do with that? It also is an extremely computational view of reality, and I don't think reality is necessarily computational. That's Penrose's entire argument, is that.
Okay, let's substitute the word computational with comprehensive. Are you comprehending reality right now?
If what you mean is, do I comprehend some aspects of reality, like in my understanding? Well, I would say I think I understand some things.
Is the fundamental nature of consciousness to comprehend?
No. Why? You think it is? I would say the fundamental quality of consciousness is awareness, but that also is just a tautology, because it seems like you're substituting one word for its synonym.
So then would the fundamental nature of awareness be to comprehend?
Okay, you have to explain to me what you mean by comprehend.
You see, this is where I'm saying there's like a bit of that, like when you sort of like relax. I know.
I'm not being antagonistic in the least, Alan.
I know. I love you. I sense this though. I sense it in your essence. Like there's like this, like give me this definition of comprehend. But I know intrinsically, like just like you said earlier. Well, why wouldn't somebody just go and create violence and havoc? And the answer.
I'll object to that. Because there are obviously people who are driven by that, who think that that is the highest good. And the example that I give frequently is 1206 with Genghis Khan, where he said that the highest good is to put my enemies' heads on a stick and rape their women. And that was the good to him. So it's not exactly obvious. And see, this is what I see the New Age community being driven by, this Pollyannic view of what humans are. But plenty of people are motivated by pointing down. They have a God and it's down. And I don't see the recognition of that in some of these non-dualist circles.
So how old is Genghis Khan again? 1,000 years old?
Almost 1,200 approximately is when he had his reign in Asia.
Okay. So 1,000 years ago, where was our level of self-awareness compared to now? That's another way to view that question. Because if you look at the level of self-awareness 1,000 years ago, that was more of the essence, where you could sort of say that I want to put my enemies' heads on sticks and I want to rape the women. And today, in modernity, with 8 billion people and the internet and computers, and we see the planet as one organism, and we see these conscious agents, aka humans, as this shared computational or comprehensive unit that then is what is exploring. So in a sense, you can't get away with that anymore. Self-awareness has increased to the point where you can no longer get away with having this drastic level of malevolence and violence.
Okay, Well, what you're saying, man, it's so embedded in assumptions upon assumptions that so here's one. It's a highly contested issue whether or not we've progressed in any moral respect from 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. In some people would say we've lost our way, especially since Vervaeke would say since the invention of vowels, which sounds like it has absolutely nothing to do with this, but that was around the year 1200 as well, or at least the invention of literacy, which was around written word, which is 3,000, I believe, minus.
Curt. If you can get to the understanding that this is the same intelligence talking to itself, can you get to that understanding?
The same intelligence. Look, you mentioned that you don't particularly like my persnickety adherence to detail, but the reason is that you mentioned Gödel. Well, why do you mention Gödel? See, this is what I see and I don't mean this as any demeaning quality to the spiritual or New Age community. I just have no other word for that community than like that. And I have the utmost respect. Otherwise, I wouldn't have interviewed people like Bernardo Kastrup and Spira and so on and so on. And in fact, I tend to primarily interview those people because they think contrary to me. I see them as being motivated and not knowing that they're motivated. So for example, they'll mention Gödel, or they'll mention that the universe looks at a certain scale to have the same connections as neuronal connections. How did Gödel get to?
Isn't it just trying to share with you what is right under your nose? Isn't that just trying to share with you what's right under its nose?
When I'm asking for specificity, it's the same process that Gödel did in order to show that set theory as we had it. Well, it's actually even more profound than set theory, but whatever, that a formal system that has certain qualities has truths within it that one can't prove within. Okay, whatever. That was from a deep investigation into the details. And the reason why I pin you down or I'm carping, it's not because I'm trying to prove you wrong in any way, shape, or form. It's because I'm trying to understand, and I know as someone who's studied some topics like mathematics and physics and philosophy extremely deeply, that much of what we think makes sense on the surface upon closer investigation falls apart. It's like you're fighting a ghost, and you don't realize it until you investigate it at its extremes, until you want to know, well, what do you precisely mean by so-and-so and so-and-so? And thus, I'm not being unfairly captious. I'm trying to get to the essence. I also know that what can seem like it makes sense on the surface is misleading when tackled from a different angle. So arguments are enthymemic, meaning that they have embedded in them unstated assumptions, and that they take an inordinate amount of time to decompress or to uncompress, And thus, if you ask me, well, is your awareness, like you asked me a simple question, is awareness aware of awareness? Okay, it seems like it is. Yes. Okay, Curt, why don't you just say it is? Because I don't know if it is. I see it seeming like it is in this moment, but give me enough time and a counter proposition may emerge, or a counter feeling. I'm not going to just sit here and accept what I don't feel is irrefracable. I'm going to attack it, or at least I don't have to attack it. It just comes up, and I'm presenting what appears in my mind. So please don't think of me as being. I don't want you to think I'm being unfair to you. I respect and I love you, but
me too.
That's what's going through my mind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's a dialectic. It's really, truly just a dialectic.